Hello, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is another day, another series. I hope you like Ghost Face, because we got even more Ghost Face for you. Don't even worry about it. Cynic versus Trauma, being joined here by the man, the myth, the legend, the one, the only, the most handsome, most muscular caster that I've ever met, Direwolf.
Oh, wow, that was an introduction. Thank you so much. You're glad to be here because for me it's the first Ghost Face of today. Let's see how this is playing out. It looks like a good first injury here. Whistle definitely putting up some pressure. That's a 2-tap right there onto Angel here. What a trauma to start the game with here. At least they are getting rid of the Hex perk of the killer. But so far we see a little bit of progress here in the main room, but Actor, I think that's pretty much it, because this down on top of that, the basement came pretty much out of nowhere.
Yeah, came just on the basement, barely getting it there. If it wasn't for that small little lunge into the basement that we see from a lot of the killers now, then that wouldn't have come through. Gonna be hit in the face with a pallet right there, but Whittle's perk choices here are interesting. Ruin has been re-entering the meta since that, you know, those gen kick perks have kind of gone the way of the dodo, and it's always a very interesting point when you're running that with not just the Undying, but also the Pentimento. You know that at least one of those is going to go to get your Pentimento up, and then as survivors, once you recognize the perks that are in play, you kind of have a decision to make. Do we keep the Pentimento up for the permanent 30% slowdown, or do we keep the Ruin up for that permanent regression? You know, the idea of if we don't cleanse the Ruin, then they can't get Pentimento off. However, if we don't cleanse the Ruin, then we have a Ruin to deal with, you know? It's a very interesting thing to think about, as it does seem like Tunnel is just going to be trying on Angels. There are some attempts to body block here, but they aren't enough. Remember that because Ghostface is considered a lower tier killer, these kind of anti-Tunnel perks like your Decisives, your Off the Records, or anything that could really be helped to help get yourself off the hook or stop yourself getting tunneled out, not going to be the case. 2 hooks in rapid succession in the basement. Very strong start for Whizzle.
Absolutely, this is looking really, really hard for our survivors. Angel's just a few seconds away from elimination, 30 seconds to go there. And Whizzle once more, he's not even camping in the main room trying to get the elimination as quick as possible, because he knows that he has a dream start here. Hex Ruin still standing. We have seen before how much value this can give you on Larry's here as the Ghost Face. And now when the prompt for the Unhook is coming in, he's going straight back, trying to catch them off guard. And this is going to work out as well. Everything that Whizzle is trying to achieve at the moment is really paying out for him. This time they are a little bit more successful with the body block here. Julian handing out a very important tag for the teammate, and Angel's making a little bit of distance, but it's barely enough to get towards safety. Therefore, we have the next one coming in, Ultra taking a tag as well. A lot of survivors injured now. This can come to a backfire later on if they're not going for a quick reset. Luckily, we do have the God Pallet here at the office, or the library, however you prefer to call that, and looping a little bit around it. So Whizzle definitely losing some time here, but we can only hope that there will be a longer run, but it seems like it's coming to the ultimate end here. Angels will be eliminated from the trial. Hex Ruin will be eliminated with him, but only 2 generators in exchange for a very quick elimination is definitely pointing in favor of Trauma here.
Yeah, not even the entire combined resources of the United States of America could have kept Angels alive there. Simply too much pressure. Hit after hit after hit coming through from Whizzle. All of the shots were all for naught in the end, and there isn't even a gen to show for it. You have 2 survivors injured now. You weren't able to complete a gen. Progress on some of these gens may be decent, but with these totems being cleansed, that is going to be the activation of the Pentimento to get that permanent slowdown. And fortunately for the side of Cynic, this is the one uninjured survivor that has been found. So it's going to waste a little bit of time for Whizzle, either trying to get that stalk up or go for the M1. Is trying to get the stalk up, which is pretty bad for Lusty, but for Julia and Ultra, they're decently happy with this. It does buy them a little bit more time to maybe reset, to work on the gens a little bit longer. Lusty just has to make sure to not, you know, run right into Julia and Ultra, because it seems, that seems likely for a second. But Lusty's dead anyway, so who cares?
Yeah, who cares about Lusty going down on the ground there? Whistle, definitely not, because this is what he's looking for. Great pressure so far. We do see them taking the full reset here, preventing a quick jump scare based on the injuries on the survivors here. But this is also what prevents Cynic from going for the needed generators here. They have to make sure that they are staying healthy. This costs a lot of time, tracks them away from the generators, and ultimately allowing Whistle to take more and more advantage throughout the trial here. Lusty will very likely be saved soon. We saw the survivors slowly rotating towards the hook after their reset, and hopefully one of them is jumping back towards the generators, but just before going for the unhook, they have been located, and this means that Julian is actually going to be 99'd with the stalk progress here, so more danger coming out for Cynic, and now Whistle doesn't even care about the tunnel out because he has the next survivor to chase off here. I doubt there's going to be a body block in time, and therefore the next survivor going down onto the floor, basement in reach as well. I feel like Whistle is playing an absolute phenomenal game right now.
And I think that Ghost Face is taking up Olympic level sprinting or something like that, because the speed that was kind of coming around the corner there was absolutely immense from Whistle. I think in both the last series of Ghost Face that we saw today, in the earlier match and this one as well, again the argument between the drop like knife sheath and the Philly add-on, it's been debated, but just by the eye test, it seems like this purple add-on is just insane at getting you such key hits when they matter most, and Whistle is in such a dominating position right now. You have 3 gens remaining, you have an injured survivor who is also near fully stalked. Ultra is realistically the only one who can make some kind of play here, but not really able to get the save, is just busy working on the gen instead. Lusty can't really do anything. You can't go for the save because you'll die. If you work too hard on a gen, then you're just going to get caught out. Julian is going to be on the second stage. Whistle has returned to see to that personally right now. But this is a really awful spot for Cynic to have to be forced into.
Yeah, Cynic is basically busy to only keep up with what Whistle is giving them in terms of pressure. There's nothing they can do at the moment really to put in terms of pressure. They have gone through this generator here, but besides that, they are going for the unhooks, they are going to the necessary body blocks, they are going for the healing from the injuries. So basically Whistle is able at the moment to give them a long to-do list and a lot of tasks, and they are losing all the time because they have to say or they have to put up with the challenges they are getting here. Julian is also, once again, just 30 seconds away from elimination. We have seen that very early with Angels away. So, team in a difficult spot here. Will they try to go for a rescue? And that's going to be the wrong decision, at least for Lusty. Going to be a quick down here. Julian now very likely going to be dead in the basement, leaving Ultra as the final standing survivor here. This is not what Cynic was looking for. I mean, Trauma is known for their strength on indoor sets. They are known for their strong Ghost Face, but I do think that Cynic there's no way. There is no way that Ultra was not spotted.
Whistle doesn't have eyes, apparently. It doesn't matter. Whistle has put in such a phenomenal performance on the Ghost Face thus far that we can overlook that one like minor transgression right there. That being said, the fact that Ultra did not get spotted is beyond me. But you know, it's a rough time, I guess, for Whistle. And for Ultra, you're certainly not complaining because you have the potential of escaping through the hatch, getting yourself a couple of more hook stages being saved up for you. Okay, now I think that Ultra might have been spotted now. I have a feeling, Dyer, just a small one. But
yeah. Let's see. You said
no,
earlier that
not leaving.
I was saying earlier. Otherwise, we see what you mentioned earlier, that the killer is just staring into lockers all the time. But also decided that this corner here is going to be his safe spot, and we can tell how that worked out for him. It's going to be a very, very clean 4K, not even with 4 completed generators. Fun fact for all the statistic nerds and lovers in chat, 4K on 1 remaining generator was for a long time the most often happening tie condition in our matches. So the fact that they are only getting 3 generators done here, and therefore our upcoming survivor team from Trauma is able to ignore a 3-gen setup, able to ignore the final generator, is pretty huge. So, and also loading in, right? If we imagine Trauma coming out here, playing their first best of 3 in Season 9, and now they know they don't even need to complete all the generators for the win, that's a pretty luxury spot to be in.
Yeah, really phenomenal. Again, oftentimes these Ghost Face series can drag out for a very long time, but Wizzle showing chops on the killer thus far, and the pressure that was being piled on was simply not enough for the Cynic side to have to deal with. A 4K with 4 fresh hooks, 12 stages, that's about as clean as your windshield wiper right there. Couldn't ask for a whole lot more from your Ghostface player, and they are going to have the opportunity to redo this one on the survivor side as well. But Wizzle has set themselves a very comfortable win condition here today. What do we think was kind of the difference maker there for giving Wizzle that win?
I do think that we have seen from the beginning a very aggressive Ghostface. The fact that he was able to get a 2-tap in the first 20-25 seconds. I mean, we were barely done with our intro and welcoming the viewers and introducing each other, and we already had a clean 2-tap without any pallets being thrown yet, without any gen pressure being in yet. And I think this is something that backfired for the rest of the game. They were instantly in the position where they had to rescue from the basement. They were instantly in the worst position in terms of basically putting up what Wizzle was giving them as tasks to do in terms of healing against the injuries they got, running after the hooks that were coming in, the hook stages flying left and right. We have seen that Hex Ruin could do a lot of value because they were running around like chickens basically because Wizzle applied so much pressure, and I feel like they never really recovered from it. So I guess, Actor, when we are looking onto Ultra now coming in the upcoming trial, either you play a very strong early game, or you're almost looking into a very difficult mid game, or almost unbearably difficult. What do you think?
Yeah, and obviously the perks have been locked in ahead of time due to this, and that was introduced last tournament. We could sit here and chat all day, but we are going to go to a very quick break before the next match. Ultra is going to have a hell of a job to do on the Ghostface pick, so best of luck to you, but we'll be back after a very quick break.
Welcome back, everyone, to Larry's Memorial Institute. We are now going to witness Ultra on the killer side, playing for Team Cynic. And after a very rough trial 1, we can only hope that the early game will work out as great as for Wizzle. We remember in the previous trial we had 3 generators completed, meaning that Trauma's survivor team only needs 4 generators done. They can ignore a 3-gen setup that is sometimes possible on the top side of Larry's. They don't feel so much pressure, and especially when doubling up, having an early stun and a lot of distance in the first chase, you feel really good. Actor, from the previous trial, I do think that Swatter should be already down, right?
Yeah, if we're going by the previous performance, then Swatter should be dead on the floor and on a meat hook by now. Ultra is going to be running what is effectively the exact same build as we saw from the kill side last time. Again, it's the whole idea of you have Ruin, Undying, and Pentimento, meaning that you're always going to be getting some kind of value, right? Either the Ruin's up and Gentle Aggression by themselves, or they break it and the Pentimento then does its work. And even if the survivors opt to just cleanse every single totem, well, that's more time being taken off the generators. There was the initial attempt there, you could see, to double up from the survivor side, but it didn't exactly work out. They maybe weren't expecting this exact build with the Ruin, maybe just didn't quite check for it, and they weren't able to bully out the gen quick enough before Ultra came to scare them off of it. So that is a lot of time that was wasted for the survivors, but again, it's not like Ultra has a whole lot to show for it. 1 injure and 199 mark potentially can be good value, but now Corrupt is going to be fading out. And again, what does Ultra have to show for it? Not a whole lot.
Unfortunately not, and with Trauma announcing their rebrand and coming into Season 9, a lot of people were saying now we are going to see the OGs of comp again, and they are going to be so confident and so strong, and honestly this is what we're seeing so far. A very, very intense killer game in the previous trial, and now the Survivor team playing absolutely great. We have a few injuries, or had a few injuries so far, not going to come in clutch for Ultra here, not even being able to get a single hook stage so far. The Ruin barely does anything because he's not able to pressure these survivors enough, and one generator has already been completed. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, only 3 more generators to go, and we are already looking forward to the first set point for Trauma here, and even the Stalk doesn't fully work out. It's on 99. Yes, that is great later on in the mid game, but the question is, will there be enough time to return to Nancy later on and catch her in time before all the generators are completed? The time definitely running against Ultra and against Cynic here. We need a quick down, and we need a couple of hook stages actually if we want to start the pressure accordingly. Holy.
Oh my, Swatter, one of the 7 deadly sins there. Call that some greed with that pallet. Oh my god. Did not want to drop that, and Ultra just showing far too much respect. And will suffer there, and also getting juked out by the window face here. Ultra is panicking right now, and you can just tell it by the way they're playing. This is really rough for... It's very rough for Ghostface to have to deal with, and with the Ruin gone, and now the Pentimento gone as well, there is nothing that Ultra has to work with. Not only is the Ruin gone, and the Undying, but the Pentimento, there is one totem which is standing, but Ultra might have to go out of their way, take the pressure away from this Ace to even get that online. Meanwhile, Ace is working with this... It's an okay palette. It's one that you can make some magic with. And now the drop, now that the Ace effect from that purple Adam is gone, I was going to say Ghostface wouldn't have a lot of room in this chase, but clearly I underestimated Ultra.
Unfortunately, a down there for Ace, but he still wasted enough time, I feel like, to get more generator pressure in. The only survivor that definitely needs to be worried is our Nancy here, because that's the 99 survivor we've seen earlier. Pentimento now coming in once again here, doing a little bit of work. Ultra getting rid of the pallets as well. We do see a 5% gen over here, but the survivors very certainly on the other side of Larry's Memorial Institute at the moment, cranking these generators and riding the wave of enthusiasm towards victory in this set here. They are all set up. They have the best win condition that is possible, and if Ultra is not turning into a wizard here and making magic happen, then I don't really see how they are going to be stopped on the side of Trauma here. However, if we have a little bit of unawareness, like Gran out here, a little bit late checking towards the right side there and spotting Ultra, then it might turn really quickly, because a few jump scares can turn this around. That's going to be at least an injury here. The very valuable pallet, though, is staying for later on in the mid game. We're dragging the killer away from the hook, but Ultra ignores that. Does actually get the second stage here on our survivor, so this might be a little bit of a grasp onto the survivor team in case of being able to remove a survivor from the trial very soon.
Yeah, and this Pentimento is also going to hurt. They have the Trauma team hasn't sent anyone to get rid of that, so it's going to be a permanent 30% slowdown to be having to deal with, on top of your friend on the hook, on top of the 99 Nancy as well. Nancy knows that they can't go for the save. Greno knows that they can't go for the save either, so it's just going to be Swatter who comes in, and Ultra doesn't really care if this comes out. He's just going to get that one-to-one trade. S will be living a little bit longer for it. We're actually going to see whether Ultra even goes for the pick. No, doesn't even go for the pick. Just wants to get rid of X from the game. S from the game, sorry. And you kind of have to do that. And actually not making this pallet. Or, well, making it, but not making it hard enough, I suppose. That being said, 2 gens were just popped. 1 more gen for the Survivor team, and they have the win in this Ghost Face series.
Yeah, this is the rough part, right? I feel like Ultra made an actually great comeback back here in the mid game, securing that second stage earlier, then getting the elimination now with the Pentimento, a few more tags onto Brenner and onto Swatter, getting the grasp and taking the control back over the map here. But in terms of the win condition, only having one more generator, and then you already lost. We are not even talking about the tie that is coming in, then we're on the tie condition now already. And Pentimento being gone, which flips the game into a very bad direction for Ultra here. Again, I feel like Ultra was doing a good job. I feel like he's taking more and more control here, even more confidence. It feels a little bit like he's warming up at the moment with his Ghost Face and gets stronger and stronger. Actor, I'm just worried that he will not have enough time to really make a noticeable difference here.
Simply put, the numbers don't lie, and they kind of spell disaster for Ultra right now. There are three survivors and 4 gens to defend. Simple as that. You cannot physically put enough pressure on these survivors to be defending every single gen at once. You can get maybe a quick down onto Autumn Sadness, but that's going to buy time for Grenout and Swatter to reset. And then one of them can come for a save, and they can just pump out a gen in the meantime. If you choose to camp, then they don't even have to worry about the save. They'll just 2-mana gen, and they've won the game. This is an unenviable position to be in. Any other set, any other series, you'd be thinking Ultra is in a commanding, pretty dominant position right now. However, this isn't any team, this isn't any series, this is Trauma's killer with Whizzle putting in such a great performance on the Ghost Face. An unenviable position to be in if you are Ultra.
I feel a little bit bad for Ultra because I feel like he's on the edge of taking over the control if there wouldn't be this horrible win condition that they reach right here, right now. Trauma walking away with a 1-0 from this set here, and that is, we could say, definitely going as planned because this was picked by Team Trauma. Unfortunately though, I felt like it is a little bit too clear. I was hoping for Cynic that they are able to put Trauma a little bit into challenge here, because if there's one thing that I remember from the old Team Trauma that played a couple of months and years ago, once Trauma is in a winner position in a best of 3 or best of 5, they become absolutely unstoppable, and then they just play it out until the opponent is slandered into the ground, basically. So I was really hoping that Cynic is able to put a lot more into the Ghost Face set and show a lot more resistance, but I feel like this one is a very clear one.
Yeah, how do you beat the killer performance? You know, I could sit here and sing Whizzle's praises for years to come, and it would still not convey the aptitude they had on that Ghost Face set. So it's on that Ghost Face round at the very least. The rest of the round here is mostly just cosmetic here. It doesn't even matter if everyone dies, and it doesn't look like Autumn Sadness particularly cares too much about being saved, and Grenout doesn't care about, you know, dropping any of these pallets either. You know, it's only a matter of time before they end up going down. But this was one on the kill side, without a shadow of a doubt. You have to think, well, what if it didn't go that way? But that's an alternate timeline. It's not the one that we're living in. And we're done with Ghost Face for the day. There is no more Ghost Face today. All right, we are not having more like 50-minute like Ghost Face sets staring into the abyss of every single locker. We're not having a potential draw on our hands with Ghost Face, where we will then replay the 50-minute Ghost Face set again. All right, I am going to be winning the award for the #1 hater of Ghost Face sets, not because of the skill of the players involved. Far from it. It is very slow, it's very cerebral. It is simply because I'm cursed to only cast 50-minute long Ghost Face sets, and this is a refreshing change of pace.
He's enjoying the rest of his weekend, we can tell that. But unfortunately for Cynic though, because I feel like a tie would have been a little bit fair maybe, considering how good Ultra came in. But here we see once again basically how important the early game is, right? Like, Ultra did a great job in the mid game. He played very, very great. He was not sinking into the pressure, he was not losing his nerves, he was executing his game plan really, really well. The perks fell together that he brought. But if you have a horrible early game and the survivors are in the position where they decide what's going on, you might recover, but it's already too late when we are talking about a win condition that is about the generators. In terms of hook stages and escapes, maybe you will have enough time, you can go for a speed run during the end game, but whenever it's about the generators, it's pretty rough once you've given the control out of your hands. So we can only elaborate often enough on it. The early game is one of the most deciding factors in competitive DBD. After that, you have a very difficult time if the survivors not making mistakes. And unfortunately, in DBDL Season 9, you will not really see survivor teams that are giving you a lot of room for mistakes and therefore nothing to work with. Granout is going to protect Swatter here a little bit, but it seems like Ultra wants to get the down on the fully marked survivor. We do have only this little pallet here that can be difficult on the ping difference between America and Russia, but Swatter is just going to crank through. The second run, however, is with a little bit of hesitation and ends in a down here. Now, I would wish Cynic that they are going to 4K here for the motivation for the second set, but I do think it's realistic that Trauma can eventually take it out here.
Yeah, it'll be cosmetic, but it can always help the mental, you know? It's one thing to lose a match, but it's one thing to lose a match where you're all killed, you don't complete any gens, versus, it was sort of by the skin of our teeth, you know? We were able to get a couple of people out. That kind of, sorry, we were able to, you know, get at least a 4K. It's just unfortunate that the game went how it did, as Grenell plays the palette in a very interesting way. Certainly a top 1 player of all time there. It doesn't matter. Important down is he's going to finish off this generator. Again, doesn't really care about going down here. Might just run to the exit gate for an out. Might go for the unhook. Might go and, I don't know, play Civ 6 or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, Autumn Sadness is the one who could pull something here in terms of more cosmetic and escapes, but it's not going to happen. Therefore, all these Cynic fans can be very proud. Ultra with a strong comeback, keeping the survivors together, and inside of the map here we are going to see a 4K, unfortunately with 5 generators, so Trauma taking the first set here. I gotta say though, Trauma feels like they never disbanded, they never left the scene. They announced Ghost Face to be their set here in this best of 3. They absolutely performed as expected. Whistle on Killer, absolute on fire from the early game. 20 seconds into the first 2-tap, their survivors looked very confident, especially in the early and the early mid game. So honestly, if Cynic is not ultra prepared for the second set, I could see the Trauma is just smashing it through. However, the Unknown recently released killer still holds a lot of surprises here, so this can go either way in the upcoming one.
Yes, and I've been very excited to get into the Unknown in the next series while Grenell is going to be put on the hook here. But there's so much room for both, you know, very small kind of there's room for both very kind of small macro play, as in hitting those, as in, okay, how am I going to path myself around the map? Am I going to think about if I'm placing my hallucination somewhere, or am I just going to kind of have them and cycle on through? And then there's also the micro of, I'm going to hit some crazy cross-map lob shots, and you guys can't stop me. So that is going to be the next series, as it is going to be Trauma 1-0 up right now over Cynic. What is that? It's the Unknown. The average Birmingham resident is in Dead by Daylight now in the form of the Unknown. Second time that we're actually seeing them in DBDLeague this season. Did get a brief series of them yesterday, and it seems like the build has kind of been sussed out, at least in terms of the perks, with the Ruin, Pentimento, Undying style, and Corrupt. It's all slowdown, all hexes, all shenanigans. There's going to be an early take of that. There's going to be an early take of that totem away. And a nice hit comes through. Now this survivor is really zoned out here.
It's definitely a very good start so far, even though the survivors got your Undying out of the way. However, 50% on the first generator already, and somehow 24 minutes managed to get away from that. So the zoning not going to be successful. Now being rid of the status effect as well, but too much hesitation there in the tile. That's going to be a relatively quick down still. However, I do think that Ultra wanted an even quicker one here. One generator seems to find completion, the other one's going to be around half progress, so definitely still an optimal start for the survivor team. We'll see what Ultra is going to do next. That's going to be the Sentimento stack, now 30% penalty plus Hex Ruin. This hill generator is also saying goodbye to Team Trauma and is going to face the regression here. Now, interesting to see what happens next. Ultra might opt to force the second stage here. On the other hand, you would want him to be a little bit aggressive because Trauma is known for their efficiency, and Hex Ruin will only come in clutch if he's able to put pressure on them.
Yeah, but we are actually seeing that's kind of a decent idea on a range killer like the Unknown. The ability to play on that high ground so that you can cover a lot of area. You can pressure out all of the gens within your vicinity, and then also the unhook as well. And unhook situations are always going to be very scary against this killer because of the ability to weaken both at the same time. But not going to be opting for that actually. It's just going to be getting the hit through onto Grenau, and now the panic starts to ensue a little bit. It is just going to be pressure coming through onto 24 min. There is a hallucination that has just appeared on that other corner, but actually getting psyched out there is 24 min. Doesn't go for the vault when they have the opportunity, and that is something that they'll be paying for with their life right now. Gonna go right back on the hook once again. It is on Ultra to get this Nazi out of the game, get him out of the game stat. And also, hooking them right here means that you can hold this position, not just to hold the hook, but also to hold that Pentimento as well, to keep the permanent 30% progress loss on those gens. It does make it a far more appealing option to stick nearby, but isn't going to, knowing that there's the hallucinations to get back there faster. Doesn't really mind losing for just a minute.
We do spot the next survivor over here. That's going to be ran out, and a little bit of teleportation back towards the hook here. That's definitely going to end in a trade. Swatter will not get away here. The question is, will we hook Swatter, or are we going to force the full elimination? And of course, we want to cut Team Trauma down to 3 survivors only. However, the balance standing going to be a good chunk of distance here. Is it going to be enough to stay alive a little bit longer? The answer is yes for now. Nice double back here, but it's going to be a quick finisher whatsoever. Survivor rotating in the distance to get Swatter back on the feet, but Team Trauma cut down to 3 survivors with 3 generators remaining. Definitely looking much stronger for Team Cynic here compared to the previous trial. No pickup either, so Swatter also going straight onto the hook here. That's a very, very difficult situation now. Pentimento is right next to the hook stage, so can be defended by Ultra as well, knowing that he has a good chunk of pressure here. Actually, this is almost paradise for the killer.
And Ruin is still up. This whole time, Ruin has been up, so you're not able to just bully out these gens for the Pentimento. You have to be getting off them, and it's a losing battle, you know? Before you had the concept of, are we going to decide whether to... Before we had the concept of, are we going to decide whether to deal with the Pentimento or the Ruin? Why have one when you can have 2 if you're the killer right now? It's just a perfect situation, and it's also landing these UVX shots absolutely damn near perfectly, making life a living hell for the survivors to have to deal with there. A little bit of a miss there, but the hinder does come through anyway. A little side effect of the power. You will get slightly rewarded for hitting a direct shot. It's not exactly what you want. And then you can just see the chaos of this killer. We went over to another survivor POV to check on how the gens were doing, and the killer's just teleported over there and down Grenau. It's absolutely absurd, the things that this killer can do.
Yeah, basically, he's a mix of a lot of great killer mechanics, right? So it makes him really, really strong. I remember the show match we had when he just got released and the comp players got their hands on the Unknown and showed us very fast what potential lays in this killer, and this is what we see perfectly executed here by our Ultra and Team Cynic. So the Cynic fans can take out the confetti slowly, because this second set, at least the first trial of it, looks very much in favor of Team Cynic, and their plans are definitely going to work out here. Swatter going to be a little bit of juking, but takes the injury anyway. Autumn Sadness and Swatter both injured, and it's going to be a quick down right here. And in case he slugs, we can see the Greeting Survivor in the distance on the generator. They might just want to get the third generator done, and then they are happy with that, realizing that they are in a very difficult spot right now.
Oh my lord, this is an absurd killer performance being put on by the Unknown right now. Ridiculous level of gameplay from Ultra. I mean, definitely Ultra prepared for this set on the Unknown, right? Gonna be breaking the gen now, Swatter being forced out, not really able to be healing up with the Nia. And whenever you get killed, you're in such an unenviable position at all times. You're weakened, so you can't just take the loot regularly. And you can also get hit! Cross-map slides Ultra, the LeBron James of the Unknown, apparently. Just hitting these shots like it's absolutely nothing. He doesn't miss! He doesn't miss! What's happening?
Also taking the AWM from Counter-Strike a little bit too serious here in Dead by Daylight, mixing up the games. Autumn Sadness, the final standing survivor, and that's not going to be a long run considering Ultra's confidence on this killer. Look at this beautiful teleport immediately into the down. That's a 4K with 3 generators standing. That is absolutely insane what we have seen here. Once again, Cynic can ignore a 3-gen, Cynic can ignore a 4-gen pretty much. This is just crazy performance by Ultra. After the great comeback during the Ghost Face set and showing his strength on the killer side, I feel like he absolutely activated in this trial.
All I will say is this, right? Ultra had a pretty good performance on Ghost Face last time, but it simply wasn't enough because Wizzle put in such a superb Ghost Face performance, right? If Ultra was good, Wizzle was great, right? Now, this looks like greatness from Ultra, right? But we also haven't seen Traumas go at this, and they could just do it even better. Like, it's crazy to think that, yeah, you only have to do 3 gens to win out this matchup, but that might be a little too much to ask for. If this is proving anything, it's proving that Unknown can definitely hang up there with some of our higher tier killers in DBDLeague. He's also very handsome. He's also very handsome.
He's very handsome. That's for sure. I just try to imagine, what do we expect from Trauma? Like, how does the game plan look like? But when you then work the game plan, when you put it in words, and you sit there with your team and you say, well, we have to get a 4K4. That is just crazily difficult. So there's a mystery needed. A miracle. Not a mystery. A miracle. A legend, a myth.
Yeah, okay, well, while Dyer continues to comb through his thesaurus, we're going to go to a little bit of a break, and we're going to be seeing whether Trauma is able to match up with that phenomenal kill performance from Ultra, from Team Cynic. So don't go anywhere, we will be back shortly.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Wrecker's Yard. It's Wizzle, and he played an insane game on the Ghost Face in set number 1, but I would be very surprised if he can match this win condition that Cynic has just put up in the previous trial. You cannot let go more than 2 generators, and even then you're only looking towards the tie condition here. However, if there's one player who would be able to cause such miracle, then it is Wizzle himself. So let's see if he's going to pull out the ultimate surprise here. What we would need in the early game especially is a great pressure, and so far Cynic is able to dodge these snipes across the map. We are having the first survivor in chase now, and that is actually Ultra. So it's the 1v1 between the 2 killer players here, and that's going to be a very interesting starter chase.
I feel like for Trauma, they just like keep Whizzle in like this cryopod in between matches, and then like they release him just to play killer, and then put him right back, good as new. That kind of situation. Right now, it seems like there's a little bit of rust not connecting with these hits onto Ultra, and it's also a pretty unfortunate choice of perks. You know, where DBDLeague changed the format a while ago, that perks are selected before every match by both teams to kind of speed things up and mean that you don't have an advantage by going second and knowing your win condition necessarily. This Noed is all but useless. This is not going to get any value if Whizzle wants to play a winning game right here. So you are now down 3 perks. Pop is only going to activate if you get a hook. Whizzle hasn't been able to do that, and Corrupt is going to be gone in about 10-15 seconds anyway. So you're looking at what? Maybe forced hesitation to, I don't know, win you the game of like 3 gens? It's a really unfortunate choice of perks here.
We are going to see the next chase between Ultra and Whizzle. This time Ultra is going to take the injury here, but so far we don't have a down, we don't have a hook stage yet, and Ultra is successfully making it towards the shack. Where will he find the teleporting killer? That's going to be the first generator in the distance as well. Ultra keeping a good look through the window here, making sure that he has eyes on the killer. And he keeps running around, and that's going to be the next survivor now. Our killer under pressure, trying to spread it across the survivor team, which can be a good decision in terms of snowballing, especially with a win condition like this. But unfortunately, Actor, these hits, they don't really want to land.
You have no other choice here. If you're Whizzle, you don't have a choice. You know your win condition, you know the perks that you have to work with. Angel is just taunting the killer at this point, knowing that this is a one match already. And yeah, within the span of just a couple minutes, one more gen gets popped and it's over, and Cynic end up taking this one, sending us to our tiebreaker. It hasn't quite happened yet, but it'll be a hell of a thing here. Angels has been marked up with this weaken for quite a while now. But yeah, hits aren't coming through. Whizzle had literally no choice. Had to try and split pressure, go for some miracle survivors, get greedy, I become a mechanical god and just down all of them at the same time kind of situation for this win. It ain't gonna happen. This chase has taken too long. There's a gen that's going to be popping any second now. Hell, probably 2 at this rate, because Angels is just... Oh my god, the level of jukes there would just make most average players cry. I mean, if I had to play against someone juking like that, that would be a I'm going to smash my monitor sort of affair.
Yeah, this is the moment where you say goodbye to your computer. But we're also saying goodbye to the set point, and it goes towards Cynic here. The first hook stage after they already smashed towards the set point here. Absolute insane performance from them. The Ghost Face maybe playing a little bit on a handbrake, but now absolutely activating, being efficient, being great in teamwork, and it's so beautiful to watch. It's going to be the 1-1, so we are actually going towards the tiebreak. And Actor, we talked about the mentality earlier. It is important now that Cynic doesn't fall in an absolute dynamic of domination, because otherwise they will stay on the survivor side for the Doctor set. And if you are having a good confidence as the survivor team against a weaker killer like Doctor, we will see so on. It is actually coming through, and Nia will not even take the injury from that. And this is what I was talking about. If they earn this confidence now, and then they are riding this wave of success into the Doctor tiebreaker, they are going to be dangerous as hell.
More so than most traditional sports, a lot of performance in esports is your mentality. If you come in with the idea of, we are the best team and we are going to win, honestly, that does so much, that can do so much more for you than several hours of than several hundreds or thousands of hours practice can. Everyone here has hundreds or thousands of hours of practice. That is not disputed, right? Everyone here is a phenomenal player. A lot of it is just about confidence. The idea that we are going to win and you enter your flow state, you know, where you're just doing the right thing every time. You don't have to think too hard about it, but everything's just kind of going your way and you're feeling on top right now. And with this, is continuing to get pressured out. That is going to be a nice pop coming through from Whizzle. But again, all of this is cosmetic right now. The snowball for Cynic here, Trauma cannot let that get out of hand, and they just have to think, okay, you know what? Unknown, new goofy killer, like, looks like the average British person, you know, like, it doesn't matter, who cares.
I have to agree with that. It's just a matter of fact.
You mean the unknown looks like the average British person? Is that what you agree with? Yeah.
No, I agree about the mentality.
Careful.
I was realizing what I'm going to say, so I wanted to add my second half of the sentence about the mentality, but then you already caught me off guard with how I'm sounding. Please don't put me on Twitter, everyone. I was really talking about the mentality. But yeah, Cynic is going to come in. So confident on the upcoming set, even though Angels is going to take the elimination here. Someone is already lurking in the background. I'm a little bit afraid what they're planning next, but it's not going to come. So that's going to be the quick elimination right here. 60% on the final generator over here. I would doubt that is the only generator they pressured so far. He has a little bit of head as well. And then Shaq is a little bit more here. So they are splitting it across 2 generators at least, meaning that Whizzle will have to split himself to as many locations as possible. And unlike Ultra in the previous game, he's not able to play the AWM. So wait, what? That was a clean one though. On to Jake, just a quick teleport and the down. So Whizzle definitely showing us his mechanical skill as well here, bringing us to 4 hook stages. I'm just afraid that the final generator will come as a cost for that. No, it's coming in clutch too. Honestly, an unlucky choice. Keep in mind, everyone, that the teams have to lock in their perk builds ahead of time, so he couldn't adjust it for the win condition here. Yeah, Edgar, going towards the Doctor in the tiebreaker. Doctor, usually a killer that requires a lot of mechanical skill, a lot of great mind games and looping, and a lot of team coordination. Who do you see on top for that?
I think that Ultra... We were hyping up Whizzle's Ghost Face out, and perhaps for a good reason. But I think if you look at consistency, Ultra right now has the better track record. You know, the Ghost Face series was a lot closer than the eye test might initially appear. With Ultra shows dominance of the mid game in terms of making those right decisions, which just let down by a 3-4 end game and a poor survivor round. And on this is completely blown out of the water. To 4K with 3 gens left on the Unknown, that is absurd, and I feel like the kind of Unknown isn't quite an M1 killer. It does play more similarly to a Doctor than it does a Ghost Face. That makes sense. So I feel like I have to give Ultra the advantage on killer here, while Whizzle goes for a couple of quick shots. Very cute, very cute.
What a game though. What a back and forth between Trauma and Cynic so far. Set number 1, dominant Trauma. Set number 2, dominant Cynic. Set number 3, what's going to happen? As said, Doctor, a very, very great tiebreaker that asks for so much on the mind game side on the Survivor POV. So we really love to see a Doctor on Red Shop, ladies and gentlemen, bringing it down to make a decision between Cynic and Trauma after the break.
Well, the Doctor is in the house. That's going to be Grenau on the side of Trauma. Going to be trying to work this one through, running some pretty standard add-ons. Pretty standard add-ons here. We're actually going to be catching everyone right there with that static blast. So already that's some good kind of permanent slowdown onto every single survivor in the game. Perks looking pretty standard. Seems like rapid brutality on the side there. So just to be a bit deadlier in chase, you forgo the bloodlust in order to get yourself fast, to get yourself being faster after every hit. But with how often you're using your killer power as the Doctor in chase, Bloodlust isn't something that you really care all that much about. So it seems like a pretty decent option here, Dyer.
It looks, honestly, I love the start of this game because I feel like that the pressure that lays on their team's shoulders for this tiebreaker is really clear in this trial. It went from the absolute action in the first second now to trying to go for a body block, though unfortunately this doesn't work for Angels, and on top of that they are also getting injured. So there was one survivor working on the generators as Angels came over to help Ultra. Secondly, you now have an injured on top of that. The third survivor is getting injured. Granout is not just here to open Season 9 with a great performance. Granout is playing a grand final.
Yeah, this is a phenomenal start thus far on the Doctor. You have 2 survivors at full madness. They are not going to be able to pressure out any gentle, any healing, a damn thing. They're going to have to snap out of it quickly. Plus 2 injures and a hook, and able to get the pain response as well to get the regression through. This is a better start on Doctor than we've seen on some sets playing Blight or Nurse, and that is saying something.
Absolutely. Now, 2 injured survivors, 1 hooked survivor. Not looking too great. Now we have a down survivor. Yeah, in the comp corner. Yeah, that is a little bit of time waste. But okay, at least 1 generator is going to find completion now. But Granout, a little bit like the Ghost Face set that we saw earlier. Trauma coming out with absolute confident killer performances in the early game, and they somehow managed in the first 60 seconds to pull the entire control towards himself. It didn't work out in the previous set because Ultra on the Unknown was a little bit too strong for that, but in the other 2 sets we've seen so far, it was absolutely amazing how Trauma was coming out on the killer side and absolutely smashing it right from the start here. And if Granout doesn't let the survivors get some wiggle room and some freedom here, then this might look really, really dark for Cynic.
Yeah, and a perk like Rapid Brutality really just allows you to be brutal, to get the tongue through onto Angels, who is going to use the opportunity to make a little bit more distance. They'll get that power, actually managing to dodge the shock there. But for how long can you do it? Not only do you have the high stimulus electro to deal with, but you've also got the add-on, not sure the name of it, but it reduces the shock detonation delay, essentially meaning that the moment that power comes out, it's going to instantly shock the survivor, stop them from doing a damn thing in chase for 2.5 seconds. We've seen some weird shenanigans with this power. Is it the best chase power in the game? Absolutely not. Is it A, really annoying? Yes. And B, able to catch out survivors in the weirdest spots? Yes. With the right kind of setup, you can lock a survivor down, like with a drop shack pallet, and get the down anyway through it, just with this power. It's a hell of a thing, but you can get very creative with the Doctor's power.
Yeah, the power being annoying, I agree sometimes, because it creates a lot of bzzz and noises, and sometimes I'm a little bit upset when I face them. But in terms of gameplay, it's a very interesting one, right? Because we've seen earlier how they're trying to fake some pallets, how they're trying to get the shock out, so then the Doctor is on delay. Unfortunately, this unhook here doesn't work out in the best way either, because it's going to be just a trade, and our injured survivor will find himself in a difficult spot. Nice mind game here, though, just dropping the shack pallet and not running through it, therefore trying to make sure that it's going to be a double back on the killer side. But now going a little bit further into the mid-map here. Granout is going to be picking up a Lusty, so that's going to be hook stage number 4. We are slowly but steady working towards it, but there's a little bit more work to do. And I do feel like even though Granout is doing a fantastic job, the fact that we don't have an eliminated survivor yet is a little bit worrying me, because 4 survivors are still able to put quite some pressure here.
To put it bluntly, you cannot have 4 survivors alive at this stage of the game and expect to end with a strong result. Especially as these unhooks are going to be coming through. you're really relying on this slowdown from the madness and snapping out of it. But it's not like the skill checks are going to do anything against these survivors. They have too much wherewithal to be suffering from the effect of the skill checks. All we can really think about is Lusty, you know, just holding his head in the corner. As there's a little kind of group party going on over here. However, it seems like we have a party crasher.
Party crasher indeed. Julian being on the hook now as well. We make a very nice run through all these survivors. Optimal 12 hooking, we could assume, is the game plan here, but unfortunately, as we pointed out, you would really like to see an elimination, because as long as Cynic is playing with 4 survivors, it will be really difficult to keep these generators under control. Great patience there by Angels, however, it's still going to be the injury coming out by Granite here, running into the teammates. A little bit of chaos happening on the side of Cynic here, and maybe in all this chaos, Granite will now be able to cause some severe damage.
Yeah, you cannot let that happen. The communication from the team simply has to be better than that. You cannot run into the team while they're trying to heal each other up. This is so much time being wasted, and the longer that this drags on for, the better that things go for the kill. The longer that a game goes. Survivors like a quick game. They just do the gens, get out before anything. Now that Survivor is down, there aren't any gens left to show for it. Partially on account of Grenout's immense pressure, and partially because of some kind of slightly messed up communication from the survivors as well. A Doctor 4K would go kind of crazy. Like, in this economy, really?
Not going to be the best business deal here, at least now for Cynic, where Angels has been removed from the trial. Ultra injured, Julian and Lusty healthy. These are the 2 survivors that could potentially also rotate in to take a hit in case Ultra would be next chase, but that's not going to happen. Granout, with a good reason, worried about the generators that are located towards the shack side here, making sure that he's rotating in time, stopping the survivors potentially. Nice shock here by Granout, expecting the survivor to wait for the penalty, and anticipated that twice correctly in this trial. Now we are running over towards the fun bus, but I don't think that is going to be enough distance. Julian therefore going to take the injury right here. Lusty, the only healthy survivor that can now help the team members. Luckily, Julian is able to drop the pallet, making this loop a little bit longer and wasting some time, finding the way back towards the fun bus, but will not be able to vault since this shock is coming out. This pallet is also denied by the Doctor. Will it be enough? No, the answer is not, because the ground is too strong on the mind game here on the fun bus. Therefore, we see Lusty rotating back towards the generator on Shag. Meanwhile, injured Ultra trying to hide towards the main building here. 4th generator coming out. Ekta, do you think the 5th gen is going to follow soon, or do you feel like Granout is in control now?
It's a judgment call for the survivors to make. The Grenout is just kind of going to be sitting in the high ground. What depends with this static blast hits is going to be Ultra. Okay. The judgment call is this: are you going to save Julian or not? If you do, you deny an hook stage, but you do kind of have an injured liability who has to snap out of it before they can even, you know, start helping out the rest of the team. Lusty may just opt to hard send a generator, get that done. Remembering that generators are the primary condition, but no, it is going to be saving Julian instead. So playing the heroics, playing the good teammate card, as unfortunately Ultra does get caught out on the slip up there. But yeah, playing the kind of teammate card, it's going to be time for Julian to snap out of it and the heal to come through. But then you're going to have the exact same problem with Ultra. And what about that?
And this is a very cruel decision the survivors have to take, right? Saving a team member and trying to continue as free, or sacrificing someone. And if they ultimately decide to sacrifice someone, when is the best timing to do that? When is the killer maybe forced away from the active generator, so he's not able to look into the area you're currently trying to apply pressure etc., etc. So therefore, Ultra, I wouldn't be surprised if they sacrifice him, but we are going to see them taking it once more here. Julian very likely needs to take a hit for Ultra because there's not much going on over here, especially with the shot denying that final pallet that has been dropped over here. And that's exactly what's going to happen now. So Lusty now working on that final generator that they are supposed to complete here. However, Ultra leading us towards the shack again. So I would assume that Lusty is working more towards the right side here. But all of this going to be just bare minimum because Ultra already being downed again since Granite is playing an absolute confident trial here.
Yeah, and you're seeing some of the small things that are happening on account of Doctor's power. Now, the kind of main points of how Doctor is going to affect most survivors aren't fully on display. You know, these guys aren't going to be missing skill checks all that often. They aren't going to be spooked by a sudden illusionary Doctor appearing in front of them. It's not really going to make them panic. That being said, there are several small nuances which do add up. Things such as the fact that you're hearing that with this add-on, not only are you hearing a constant terror radius, and so if there is any communication breakdown between survivors at all, you don't fully get to know exactly where the Doctor is. If the position is not called out correctly, you're not really able to play that upon your own instinct. But also there's always that illusionary red stain in chase. In a situation like this, does it matter? No. But when you are right on the pallet and you're trying to make the judgment call of do I drop this or do I continue to greet it, when most of the time you're thinking, do I see the very edge of this red stain? That was exactly what caught out Ultra in that last chase. Not quite knowing where the red stain was and greeting the pallet because of thinking that the killer was further away than they actually were.
And Julian is being caught out here a little bit again, not by mind gaming around the red stain like Ultra, but by very beautiful shocks that Granite is perfectly timing around these loops. Lusty is the final standing survivor, and not for long, because Granite locating our ace already towards the final chase in this trial here. Yeah, one generator remaining. That means we have a very clear win condition. All generators completed. So we can only hope that Cynic was not handing in any know it or no way out or perks like this, because otherwise you would have a very, very difficult time in the upcoming trial because you essentially play with 3 or less perks. But this also means for the survivors of Team Trauma that they will be able to play a lot more aggressive on the final generators. They don't need to worry about a potential no-it. They don't need to worry about getting stages out of the door. So in worst case, you can triple the final generator, take a couple of hits and downs, and just smash the final generator through it, which will be, Actor, a very, very big advantage for Trauma in that upcoming trial.
Yeah, the 4K1 is a very respectable result on the Doctor, especially on a map like this. Generally with Doctor, you're thinking I'm preferring kind of smaller maps or more kind of enclosed environments where the kind of more mind gaming aspects of the power, like that constant terror radius and the red stains and illusions, can do a bit better. But Breakout was simply on it today. I think if you had to kind of point out one moment in the match, it's right at the start, that first static blast catching on to everyone. That sounds very small, but that just gets the ball rolling onto everyone. Then, once you have that first stack, you cannot go back down to 0, right? That snowball ended up eventually leading to more tier 3s, which led to more slowdown, which meant more time for Grenout to do his thing in the chase. And you know that when you let Grenout, you know, just chase survivors, there are a few better in the world that can do it, right? We're going to be back at you for... We are going to be right back at you for Cynic's attempt on the attack on the killer right after this short break.
Will we see Ultra taking it for Team Cynic with 2 generators remaining on a 4K? Will we go into a tie, since it's the most common tie condition 4K on the 1 remaining generator? Or will Trauma smash through the objectives and just go into the 2-1 and taking the win in this first weekend. Autumn Sadness in the first chase here, trying to do some ultimate looping, and that's going to be successful, but unfortunately, actually I spoke too soon. That's going to be a beautiful stun right there, making sure that Ultra doesn't get an entry and loses more and more time. That's a good start for Trauma here, definitely what they are looking forward to. And knowing Trauma, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a body block anytime soon, but he's running into the killer.
This is such a rough situation to be in if your Autumn Sadness able to just about escape. Again, dodging the shock through. Does have Dance with Me to try and maybe draw off the killer just a little bit as the positioning, but wasn't able to get the Volt in time. There is the clutch coming in right now, and you can see the survivors are really working through on the gems currently. Is going to be hit with a Pain Resonance, likely. Yeah, so Pain Resonance did end up coming through there. It's an interesting decision that they're actually opting to kind of two-man this gen. That's now going to be pressured out here. Also interesting, Ultra hasn't actually used a Static Blast yet, so instead of trying to split the pressure, as was so successful in the last game, that hit! That hit! What?
The other one doesn't. I was so sure at the beginning that this would be an injury at the beginning. This one doesn't. It is what it is. We love our games. Sometimes there's a little bit of an emotional factor in terms of these hits, and I think we can all agree that DBD comp wouldn't be the same if we don't have these hits in our matches. 2 injured survivors, first generator already completed, much better game for Trauma. I feel a little bit like a deja vu from the Ghost Face.
Yeah, the gens are going to be progressed very quickly, nice and early on right now, as Autumn Sadness is right here again. Needs to try and make some time in this chase, because right now Autumn Sadness is the golden goose, the one this Doctor is going to be chasing down. But playing this part reasonably well. It is a war of attrition. Ultimately, any kind of looping endeavor against the Doctor, you're going to just get shocked over and over again. Your ability to play the game severely diminished, as Autumn Sadness does have a bit of a better loop to work with right now, but again, it's just going to get shocked up once again. Yes, the Doctor is slowed every single time that happens, but eventually you just don't have enough. You just don't have enough time. Every single time that the Doctor uses that shock, because of the discipline add-on to reduce the delay, it does make just a little bit more distance on you over and over and over again before eventually wearing you down. Interesting, they opted to bring both Rapid Brutality and Save Best for Last here, so going for a more chase-heavy setup here. You'd think that's quite important, but those first 2 chased onto Autumn Sadness, while they weren't slow by any means, they weren't particularly fast either. I feel like if you're running the chase build, you need these chases to be on point and very, very fast, because you don't have as much regression.
Yeah, I'm a little bit afraid that also with the win condition, of course, Ultra couldn't predict the win condition when he was handing in the builds and blocked them in. Beautiful shock there, denying the save from Gunnar. This might be a game-turning point right here, because now Autumn Sadness potentially going into elimination, and that also means that Gunnar just wasted a lot of time not being able to work on the generators, not being able to save the team member. Also doing a very beautiful block right here, and now, wow, this is insane. An injury coming out, but he gets to save last millisecond. I already saw this survivor dead. The bar was completely ran out. What is this up and down here, Hector?
This is absolutely absurd. Autumn Sadness is going to be going down her. There was no avoiding that. No amount of resources could have prevented that. But look at the pressure that's come through. And Eski's on this middle gen as well. There's only about, what, 20, 30 seconds left on that? This is do or die time right now. Autumn Sadness has been hooked already over and over again. And they're just going to double this one up in main. And that last minute save was everything. Grenell, there's a world in which that save doesn't come through. Grenell goes down and there's a pain res on this gen. But that's every generator completed in like, what, 5 minutes, if even? That is some absurd level survivor gameplay. And I believe that that's the win coming through here for... Trauma off the back of that, right?
Yeah, this was an absolute speed run they did here towards the 2-1. Trauma going to stay or come out as the winner here. I feel like absolutely deserved, because in the Ghost Face and the Doctor, they've proven us how quick and efficient they can be. It was a very beautiful comeback from Cynic in the mid game of the Ghost Face set, and then also on the Unknown, definitely showing us all their qualities and all their skill, but ultimately it was Trauma being a little bit too strong here. Now, I wonder if we would have gone into the elimination there as Cynic tried to achieve it, and then having Granite injured as well, if that would have potentially been a strong enough turning point to go for a tie here and keep it in place. But we can only speculate, because somehow Trauma was able to I will not even touch the surprisingly get the final unhook there that was needed to keep the survivors together and going for all the generators. Definitely a very intense best of 3. I feel like all the games we've seen today have shown us what it means when we are going into a tournament with the top 10 teams. Really, really exciting matches. Trauma definitely putting themselves in a very comfortable position after week 1. Cynic, I guess, will just go for an ultimate grind for week 2, because after such a great performance against Trauma, they deserve to win in the upcoming week. And that pretty much closes the week 1 of Season 9 with all these survivors escaping.